Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back. This is part 2 of today's video, May 12th of 2020. So in part 1, we finished going over some of the vocabularies about grocery shopping and how grocery store is arranged in aisle and sections. And then we talk about some of the phrases that could be useful in a grocery store, because when we go to a grocery store, we usually there is certain items that we can't find, so we have to ask someone. And I hope that was helpful in part 1. Now in part 2, we're gonna go over countable and non-countable nouns. So here, remember, the difference between countable and uncountable nouns is the fact that it's either whether we can count it or not. Okay? So countable nouns are nouns that we can count. So I listed some items, or since we're talking about grocery shopping and grocery store, I listed some items that we can count, and they are here. So we have here we have singular and plural. So I'm going to talk about like one item each at a time. So we have an apple, a mango, a cherry, an egg, a chili, and a broccoli. So these are some of the vegetables and fruits that we can count. And then here I said singular and plural. So singular, there's only one of them, so an apple. And then here you can see that I use un here and a here. So how you determine that is based on the vowel. So vowel is are these letters here. So A, E, I, O, U. So if any word that starts with a vowel, and if we want to specify it to be one thing, then we have to say, we have to use un, A-N. If it doesn't have a vowel in the front of the word, then we don't have to use it. So as you can see here we have an apple, but for mango, cherry, we have a mango, a cherry. And then for egg, here, egg starts with the letter E, and then letter E is a part of a vowel. So we have to say an egg for one egg, right? And then a chili, a broccoli, they don't have any vowel in the beginning of the word, so we just say a if we want to say one thing. So I hope that was a good reminder of the difference between a and n. That really depends on the vowel. And now, let's talk about plural. So if we have one apple, or we say an apple, right? But if we have more than one apple, what do? We usually in the plural form of an apple is apples. So you just have to add a letter S. But here, let me just go over a few examples of plural that I have here. So for an apple, I said a few apples. A mango, in plural form, for example, it would be 5 mangoes. A cherry, 7 cherries. An egg, 2 eggs. A chili, a lot of chilies. A broccoli, several broccoli. So here I want to show you that, so let's talk about the discrete part. A few, 5, 7, 2, a lot of, and several. Everything in green are what I call quantifier. Quantifier here. Quantifier. So here I wrote quantifier is an expression used to explain amount of something, right? So it helps explain how many are there. So for example, a very good simple, an example that everyone should know is is number. So here, if we look at mango, a mango is 1, but if it's more than 1, let's say here we have 5 mangoes. We use 5 to show that there are 5 mangoes, right? We use a specific number. That is a quantifier. But another way of expressing a quantifier, instead of saying, let's say there are 3 apples, instead of using 3 apples, I just say a few apples. A few is more than 1. So I could be saying 3 apples or 4 apples or 5, and it might differ. It might be different from people to people because their definition of few, for me, it'd be 3 apples are few, but their few could be 10 apples. But a few apples is more than 1, so it counts as a plural, and it's a quantifier. It shows that there's more than 1 apple, so more than one item. So the easy way to express this is with using a specific number. Here we have 5, 2, 7. But then there are other ways of expressing. We have a few, a lot of, and several. So all these in green. Green are what we call quantifier. Now, so these quantifiers help us explain that there are more than 1. Then here the apple, the singular, has to be also in plural form. So then for an apple, it has to be apples. And then in most of the cases, we just have to add a letter S to make it plural from singular, right? So apple would be apples. So we have a letter S here. But then let's take a look at mango. We have 1 mango, so it's a mango. And then plural, 5 mangoes. Here, we added letter E and S together, so mangoes. So as I said before, in a regular case, there are specific rules to make a singular form of word into plural form, and then the regular way is we know is to add the letter S, but there are cases where you have to do a lot more than that. So here there's a rule where if our word ends with the letter O, you have to add the letter E and S together. So here, as you can see here, so the M-A-N-G-O-E-S, mangoes, if we want to say in plural form. Now, here we have a cherry, and then here in plural form, I use a quantifier, a specific number, 7, and then cherry has to be also in plural form, and then I would say cherries. So C-H-E-R-R-I-E-S. So I replace the letter Y with I-E-S. I'm just showing examples. There are many more rules. I think we will learn about it as we keep going on with the unit and our different books. But so going back to it, for an egg, if we want a plural, so here I use a specific number. So here 2, so 2 eggs. This is a simple, this is a regular plural form, so we just have to add the letter S, so EGGS. And we have a chili, and then for a quantifier, I said a lot of chilies. Here, the word chili, in order to be in plural form, we have to add the letter E and S to the I. And then, we have something called a irregular form. So here, singular, if we have, everyone knows what broccoli is, right? So if we have 1 broccoli, then we call it a broccoli. A lot of people make this mistake. So in a plural form, I use quantifier several, but we don't, broccoli, the plural form of broccoli is just broccoli. There's nothing to change. And we call that irregular. It's not normal, but that's the part of the rule. There are some words that we don't need to do anything, but it can be a singular and a plural. So I hope you're aware of it. So yeah, there are a lot of rules in order to change a singular into plural form. And these are some of the rules, not all of it, obviously, because it's going to take forever. But I hope this is important for everyone to know about. So anyway, getting back to it. So these are countable nouns: apple, mango, cherry, egg, chili, broccoli. And then if you want to say it in a plural form, this is how we're going to do it. We can use a quantifier, which include expressions such as few, a lot of, several, or a specific number, and then plural form of the nouns, countable nouns. Now, let's go to non-countable nouns. So in non-countable nouns, it's very simple. Those are nouns that we can't count. So what are some things that we can't count? I listed right here. We learned that some of the items in the grocery store that we can't count are bread, milk, honey, sugar, and soup. So, so we can't count them, but there are ways that we can count the non-countable nouns. And how do we do that? And we use something called partitives. So partitives are something that we can. It's a word or phrase that can divide or section a certain item. So easier way for you to think is we use something called partitives to make something non-countable countable. And then here we have example for each category. So for bread, we have loaf. For milk, we have carton. Honey, for honey, we have a jar. Sugar, we have a bag. Soup, we have a can. So how do we use them? So here I have examples here. And everything in green here is also a quantifier that I mentioned here. So if we want to count bread, we have to use the partitive loaf. It's a very specific partitive. So here, instead of saying, so I have some examples of plural form and singular form. So let's go with this. 2 loaves of bread. 2 loaves of bread. 2 loaves of bread. And then, so here I have 2. So more than one loaves. So as I told you, if you want to make a word into plural form, there's a specific rule, right? For loaf, this word ends with the letter F. In order to be in plural form, we have to change replace the F with VES. And then now, I said if we're trying to make non-countable noun countable. So, and then there's two loaves of bread. Loaves of bread. This is a plural form. But what if I wanted? So if it in singular form, this is how it's going to look like. So a loaf of. So here. So this is a plural form. Here I use a specific number too, but it could be, and then if it was a singular form, I could say a loaf of bread. A loaf of bread. But in plural form, it would be two loaves. Loaves, I have to change the F to, I have to replace the letter F with VES. So loaves of bread. So continuing on, I have here for milk and in partitives carton. We use carton for any some kind of drink. So if for juice or milk, water, we can use carton. So 3 cartons of milk. Here we just have to add the letter S, because since this is the regular way of making plural form. So we have for the quantifier we have specific number 3. Carton would be the participes for the milk of milk. So in plural form, it would be 3 cartons of milk. If it's singular, it would be a carton of milk. So carton doesn't have a letter S. Honey. A few jars of honey. As I said before, the quantifier. A few is more than 1. So this has to be the jar, the partitive, have to be in a plural form. So we have to add the letter S, and then we have honey. Sugar, and partitive bag. So we say a lot of bags of sugar. Same thing. A lot of is more than 1. So the bag, the partitive, has to be in plural form, and we can just add the letter S. So we say a lot of bags of sugar. And finally, soup, partitive is can. A can of soup. Here I wrote in a singular form, there's only 1. So a can of sugar. So I didn't add the letter S here. And as you can see, for the non-countable noun, bread, milk, honey, sugar, soup, we don't change anything. Bread is going to be bread, milk is going to be milk, honey is going to be honey, sugar is going to be sugar, and soup is soup. There is no plural form of this exact word, but we can make it a plural form by making countable using participes. So only thing that we can change is the participes. We change the participes to show that we have a plural or more than 1 of these non-countable nouns. Okay, so that's it for part 2 of the video, and then in part 3 we're going to go over the questions that we can form using countable nouns and non-countable nouns. And okay, thanks for watching.